Started metal detecting about 15 years ago. It was something that I'd always enjoyed history at school, and you know, the only two subjects I was ever any good at school was history and sport. And I wasn't good enough to be a professional footballer or anything like that. So skip forward a few years after leaving school, and about 15, 16 years ago, I bought my first metal detector. It was probably, I think it was a C-scope, CS660, I think was my first one. I had that and found a few coins with it, a few bits and pieces. Realised that, you know, it was something I really enjoyed doing. So bought another metal detector, and I bought my first XP. Had that for a couple of years and loved it. And then I bought an XP Gold Max and a Gold Max Power. And then eventually when the Deus came out, I think the Deuses had been out for about 3 weeks when I had my first Deus. But yeah, and it's been my machine of choice ever since. Ah, it's a funny signal that. One way it's all right, the next a little bit scratchy. So a little bit. Oh, that's cleaned it up a little bit. Taking some of the, sometimes you see taking some of the soil off actually can help clean up your fight, clean up the sound. Smooth. It's been a bit of an awkward one, this one, but yeah, sometimes just kicking off a couple of inches of soil, if you can, will clean up the signal, and it's now turned into quite a nice little signal, that. Oh. So we've got a Roman coin. Yeah. Looks like Roma on there. A little bit grotty, but that'll clean up all right. I have been using XP pretty much for 15 years, really, you know, and absolutely love them. Best machines I've ever owned. Easy to use, lightweight, which is the, you know, when you detect for as long as I do, sometimes 8 or 9 hours a day, something as light as the Deus, you can carry on all day, you know, and lift it up with one finger pretty much, and you can continue to detect all day, unlike some machines on the market which are so ridiculously heavy. You know, you've got to have yourself almost strapped into the machine to be able to pick it up. The Deus you can go on all day. Not too far off the surface as well, that one. Going to use a pinpointer this time. Oh, there it is. Ah, well, I would say it's part of a bracelet. It's got the dot pattern on there, look. And obviously broken. But yeah, that's part of a Roman bracelet. That's excellent. So lucky to find one whole, because obviously they're so delicate, and you know, the chances of finding one complete is almost impossible. You think how many times that's probably had been ploughed up over the centuries. It's no wonder it's not smashed to smithereens. So, but yeah, that's really nice. That, really happy with that. When they brought the Deus out, I loved my Gold Max Power, and it was one of the hardest decisions for me to go from a Gold Max Power to the Deus. Even though people were saying, you've got the Gold Max Power inside the Deus, it's fine, but it's wireless as well, which was sort of revolutionary at the time, and I still think a lot of the manufacturers are still catching up, and the Deus have been doing it for 10 years. You know, even before that with the Gold Max they had wireless headphones, and it's just fantastic to be able to have a set of headphones where you've not got no cables, no wires, you're not getting yourself hooked up on anything. And the actual machine itself, it's a doddle to use, and if you don't want to mess around with it, you can just switch on and go with the Deus. Obviously, if XP bring out something even more superior than the Deus, then I might have to seriously think about it, but you know. Oh, that's nice. That's a lovely signal, clear as a bell. That's worth digging any day of the week. more lead now, my luck. Alright. Oh, it's fell up my hand, look. That. Very broken, but it's a hammered. One of the Edward penny, long cross. But it's obviously had an argument with something over the years, but hey, they all count. And it's still an Edward penny, so I'm happy with that. I also use the XP Mi6 probe with the Deus as well. The biggest advantage is on a windy day, you don't have to take your headphones off to try and hear your probe. It comes straight through, and it's so fast as well. As soon as you switch off your probe, your coil goes straight back into sequence, and vice versa. As soon as you switch the probe on, your coil cuts off and it's straight in. So yeah, can't fault it. Predominantly, my finds are Roman, Roman brooches, Roman obviously coins and artifacts. You know, Wiltshire was what they called the Roman grain store. It was where they did a lot of their crop growing. Probably one of the most amazing Bronze Age artifacts I've found, which is actually, I'm really pleased it's gone into Devizes Museum for display. It was a Bronze Age mould for a pulse stave axe head. So to find an axe head is incredible, but this was the actual mould that they use to make the axe head. So for me, that was just something else, you know, 3,500 years old. And to see it lying there, and straight away I knew what it was, and I thought, wow, you know. And when I got home and researched it, apparently the British Museum have only got 3 of them. So for me to find one of those was just fantastic, and to have it on display in a museum is an extremely proud feeling that people are going to go there and see something that you dug up and appreciate it for what it actually is, the beauty of it. So if you're ever in Devizes, go and have a look. It's there. If you're new to the Deus and when you first get it, a good program to start with would be Deus Fast. It will do everything that you need it to do. The other thing I would recommend as well is you need to get used to what the sounds of the Deus, so the signals that it gives you and the different, you know, the different sort of tones and different things. So put the remote control in your pocket. That way you're not tempted to keep looking at the numbers and keep looking at the screen. So you're only listening to the sound, and you need to do that so you get used to what your Deus is telling you, and you get used to the sounds. So stick it in your pocket. More lead. And if you're new to this hobby, get used to it. Go out and have some fun. And that's the best advice I can give. That's a nice signal.